Okay, Morrissey, you're currently on tour.
Yeah.
You're playing Europe, you played America, you're going to Greece, you're going to Australia. Do you like it all? Is it something you feel you have to do?
No, I've never felt that I have to do anything, but it's very enjoyable. And also, when you're about to go somewhere and they sell out very quickly, that puts a spring in your step and you really want to be there. I mean, if ahead of you was a series of empty halls, then you'd lack enthusiasm, perhaps.
Right.
But people are always so welcoming, so off I go.
Right. And what about the writing of the songs, say, for an album? Because is it the same you've done for previous albums, the same kind of way?
Yes, same process, nothing very technical, nothing very complicated, just the strength of the written word and saying something very concisely and effectively and...
Profound, or whatever.
Well, profound, maybe. If I'm lucky.
Okay, but it is pen and paper as opposed to computer these days.
It's completely pen and paper, yes.
Right. Just a few people that you've worked with on these solo albums over the last bunch of years. I mean, you worked with Mick Ronson, you've worked with Steve Lillywhite, musician, producer, etc. Do you get much from them, or is it just nice to get on with them? Is that enough?
No, producers really do something. They actually do work. And when you have a good producer who pulls things together and pulls people together, it's fascinating to watch, because you can record a song and you can think it's incredible and you can think, well, we don't really need a producer. The song is so wonderful. And then somebody walks in and they do some very basic maneuvers and you just see the song move 100 octaves. And so it's fascinating when you see a producer at work.
Is it somewhat like a second opinion, though, in some ways? That you can't just always trust yourself?
No, it's more than just a second opinion, because everybody can give a second opinion, but they don't know the way around the desk and they can't foresee how an instrument will sound if you do a certain thing to it. So, no, it's more than just somebody sitting there saying, well, I think, because they do actually jump in and start to manipulate slightly. And they also push, and that's quite nice.
Okay, well, what's quite nice with you is you sound as though you're in a position where you're mellow to the point where you enjoy what you're doing, maybe aggressive on stage, or just like, you know, everything is working out fine, and you never once played this fame game thing, which is being played more today than ever before. Yeah. Do you have any sympathy with those who play the fame game?
Not really. I think the people who play the fame game, which is practically everybody, most of them actually do so because they end up going further than they really ever should have. I mean, most people in pop music have no talent. It's all simply luck and nothing else. Yeah. And maybe they never thought they'd ever be visible in any way. So to play the game, they go further, and if they're lucky, they'll get some money. So maybe the fame game is useful for people who are bereft of any imagination.
Well, like, if you take the singing, I mean, you sing with the voice that you talk with. I mean, a lot of people don't. They put on this West Coast thing, yes. Now, this whole pop fame game thing, just to stay on that, does it, with you, induce a form of kind of agoraphobia? Like, I mean, the more you see, the more you want to just get back in and shut the door.
Well, I think I've seen so much now, yeah. And I don't think anything would surprise me anymore. I don't think so. Not really. But, I mean, I'm terribly cynical about the music industry, and it's easy to be so. But I still love music.
You have never been in love until you've seen the stars reflect in the reservoirs. And you have never been in love until you've seen the dawn rise behind the home for the blind. Standing on our streets, where Hector was the first of the gang with a gun in his hand, and the first to do time, the first of the gang to die. Oh my, Hector was the first of the gang with a gun in his hand, and the first to do time, the first of the gang to die.
And I still love to sing, and I still love to present it, and to try to be visible in a respectable way. So
when you talk about loving music and loving to sing, I mean, in your teens, you were absolutely obsessed with music and
Yes.
pop music, and with the ephemera of pop music as well.
Yes.
The stuff that was in The Enemy and all that kind of stuff, writing to The Enemy, etc. But when you talk about the vocal melodies and stuff of music, are the vocal melodies the one thing that is still always the most important thing to you?
To me, yes. And if there are groups or artists and they have bad singers, or they have no vocal melodies, I can't listen to them. And it doesn't matter how they're rated or how much people applaud them. If there's a bad singer, and in most cases there is a bad singer, because very few people have interesting voices to me. So I end up just being a terrible critic about that.
So lyrical content would be second in line?
Well, it hardly ever comes into it, because nobody has any decent lyrical content, really. I mean, there aren't really any decent pop lyricists around, are there?
That's a few.
How many can you name?
Well, I could start with Nick Cave. I think he's great. Although he's not pop lyricist as such. Are you talking about like pure pop, kind of as in the charts?
Well, when was
pop?
the last
There's
time?
certainly nothing there.
Well, when was the last time you heard a few lines that really made you leap and caught you by surprise?
But a pop lyricist...
See, you're not answering.
Okay, I'll tell you. Let's stay with Nick Cave then. There's a song called Are You the One That I've Been Waiting For? Some of the lines in that are just fantastic.
Right.
So those the stars have their moments when they die line, where it ends with that, it's about 5 beforehand. And the whole 9 lines or the whole 7 lines are great.
Oh, right.
But yeah, okay, that was 5 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe it didn't catch you by surprise because you were listening anyway, and you liked him so much that you were ready to like it.
I expected it. No question about it, yeah. As I would with certain other people from the past, like Bob Dylan, etc. Whatever. Okay, all right. Do you think it's better that artists remain aloof and give off the vibe of being superior? I've often thought that you looked up to people like that, right down through your career.
Well, I don't know how many people can really do that, because if you play the fame game, then you just have to dive in and you have to be orchestrated somehow. And if you don't, if you're uncontrollable, then people say you're a problem. And if people can't get one over on you, they say you're a problem, and you're awkward. But it just means that they don't really get away with anything where you're concerned, so then they say you're really difficult. But as far as I can see, most people do toe the line. I can't really see anybody in pop music who's rebellious. And certainly when groups and artists have a certain footing and a large audience, they're somewhat trapped. God knows why.
But when you were that teen person that I was talking about compared to now, and like nobody ever believes that life is going to go as fast as it does. It goes so slow, supposing your teen years compared to your 20s, 30s or 40s.
Yes,
Are you okay with that?
I feel fine. I mean, the older I get, the happier I feel, and the prospect of a shock of grey hair, I think, is really quite nice.
And musically, I mean, do you feel you're, like, as a vocalist, do you feel you're growing, or is
I
that
feel
irrelevant?
Yeah, growing. I feel better, older, better, and no, I don't feel any kind of nervousness about the dreaded looming years.
Right. Do you think that the music press have treated you a lot differently than when you were with the Smiths between 85 and 90 in all the 1990s with those 9 solo albums?
Well, yeah, they did. I mean, they were terribly impatient in the 90s and really unfriendly. And as you might possibly have noticed, I don't know. But yes, I mean, they tend to be very critical anyway. And but I don't mind. I'm used to it. It's been 20 years really, and I'm just used to all that now. And people write things and they don't really mean it, and you meet them and they're terribly nice, and you say, well, it's just all a strange system. And
what about the stuff that you would have in your live current set? I mean, there was a time in the 90s, I might be wrong about this, I'm not 100% sure, that you wouldn't have included Smith songs.
Well, I didn't want to initially, because I think I did feel that if I had, I would have been criticised if the Smiths had ended, and then I would have launched into a solo Smiths tour. So I purposely avoided all those songs, and now I feel that they're more mine than anybody else's. They don't belong to other people, so I'm going to sing them.
There was a time when, like, it was said that if you met a complete stranger and they wanted to see the best of what Morrissey is or what Morrissey was, you might look to Vauxhall and I or your Arstle or whatever. Could you now open the door to say, well, look at the Smith songs as well? And was there a time you had that door shut?
A nicely crafted question, but no. The door was always ajar, really. But when I became solo, I wanted to establish something. And for better or worse, I did. I wanted to take a solo leap and not just hide and pretend I was in the same situation. But you know, you can't really win. I mean, if you do this, people say, well, why didn't you do this? And if you do this, they say, but yes, you should have done that. So you just think, to hell with it, really. Take me or leave me.